Yo, we're starting already. There we go. No formal introductions. We are the Brunch Busters, and if you can read, it's after dark. Hey, Parrish.
It is. What's up? We just thought we'd do this for the shit of it.
Yeah, why not? I don't know. I'm just over here creating a new thumbnail for this one. Trying to put something together. Rise those views on the YouTube side. Get people watching, because, you know, it's like busting out, but it's after dark.
If you want to know how the rails get constructed, well, this right it.
Do we even know?
No. I guess we can put up like a banner of like our socials. Oh, there's no rhyme or reason for what we're doing tonight. We're just doing this for the sake of why the hell not?
Why the hell not? That's a good enough reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like it anyway.
I mean, it's not a busting out episode or anything like that. We just decided to do this on the spit, just in like a little bit of a chat, and we're like, hey, let's just do something. Like, okay,
may as well. What the fuck? It's weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna have fun. You gonna watch the big show tomorrow?
Not until Sunday, actually. So I'll be talking about it on Sunday with you.
Before it happens.
After, like, I'll have had everything spoiled for me, but that's okay. I can live with it. No, I'm just taking a day away tomorrow just to tune out from the world. So I will not be available at all tomorrow, and that's okay. I will watch Survivor Series on Sunday afternoon at my leisure. And it shall be decent. I'm Survivor Series went stale for a long time for me, like very stale, and I think it's gotten a lot better recently with the addition of war games. So I'm always interested in war games, Matt. See how they turn out. Always.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm curious. I mean, they're in a good crowd. Like it's in Chicago, so it should be fun. Randy Orton's coming back.
About that CM Punk debate that just won't die.
Right.
Yep. Do you actually buy into it? Like I don't think he's coming back. I think even for all the teases that people are claiming, like they're doing it because people are marking out for it. It's getting you talking about shit. And if he doesn't come back, they don't care. They'll take the backlash. They've done it thousands of times before. I don't think there's a worry in their heads about teasing a CM Punk return and then not delivering on it. And again, they already gave you Randy Orton an announcement in advance, so you can't really go hate the shit out of Randy Orton because he's not CM Punk returning to the WWE. So there you go, internet wrestling community.
Well, and like at some point, it's like, okay, this isn't the first time WWE's ran a show in Chicago since CM Punk left the company. It just happens to be the timing of everything, right? And it's like, come on, people, understand that CM Punk doesn't need WWE. WWE doesn't need CM Punk. Is it fun speculation? Sure. Is it going to be a little bit of an interesting tidbit when WWE decides just to kind of play with you and just tease and tease and tease and tease? Yeah, it's funny. They're good at it. They're probably one of the best at it when they want to be, and they care enough to do so. But I mean, look how many people are taking the bait on the War Games, and then all of a sudden Randy Orton. And they're going, they just did that just so people don't chant CM Punk. Do you really think WWE cares about the fans chanting CM Punk?
No, go for it.
They haven't done that in the last 9 years.
It's like every show for a long time. Only really essentially died down when they saw him debut for AEW. Because then they knew all hope was gone at that point.
Oh, no,
but
just
maybe not.
But, I mean, what do I know? But I just thought it was always a little bit funny to me that, I mean, it's like WWE's Easter Bunny, and the fans are the kids always looking for those chocolate eggs, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, There has to be one more. There's always one more. I couldn't have gotten them all, right? I had to miss one. So it's just that false hope of always thinking there's that extra egg that you can get and put in your basket. But I don't know. Like I said on paper previews, the only person I really think going to come back, and I think that it makes sense, is Trish Stratus, who could cost Zoe Stark her match.
This is true. Very true.
I don't have any sources, but like I think that would work. It makes sense. And you give Zoe Stark something. You don't hang a loss on her in the sense of like, oh, does this put her back? No, she got screwed. Now you have sympathy, and you can work with it. Now she's going to work with one of the greatest, if not the greatest. It's arguable. Women's wrestlers of all time. So that's what it is.
It is what it is. The story of professional wrestling.
It's just like Alexander Hammerstone fooling everybody.
Oh, fooled everybody, man. That was the wool over the eyes. Awesome.
And then now the narrative is like, oh yeah, they hashed it all out. I'm like, or here's the fun part, IWEC. Maybe they all fooled you, and now you're coming up with this narrative. Like, who knows? Who knows what the truth was? All I know is, hey, a lot of people didn't want Alexander Hammerstone gone. Cool, be happy. He's not gone. Did you want to see him somewhere else? Maybe. Still could happen, because it's not like he re-signed a new contract. He just is playing out the one he already had.
Yeah.
And it's cool. He's healed now. He joined the WTF. It's interesting. That gives MLW a new little storyline.
Yeah, it gives them a big storyline, in fact, and one that's actually making people pay attention too, because all eyes have been on Hammerstone and where he's going to end up when his contract expired and when things came to an end. And here, maybe things aren't as grim as people thought at one point in time. That we might actually get Alexander Hammerstone just that little bit longer. I mean, inevitably, as an MLW fan, you can never guarantee anybody's longevity with the company. I mean, people come, people go. Like, we've seen people have 1-2 matches that were essentially signed or brought over to work for them on a regular basis, and then just bang, they're gone off to another company. Just as everybody's star starts to rise, MLW struggles to hang on to them. And I mean, again, they can't offer them what AEW, New Japan, WWE, that kind of stuff can offer them. So I don't blame them. The cool thing about MLW right now is there seems to be that transition where we knew some things that we were used to and accustomed to for the last little while were coming to an end, but we're kind of now seeing a little bit of light into the future for MLW and what the current landscape looks like. And man, it's solid. It's solid again. It really is looking good.
Well, and what's kind of interesting too is that for the longest time we thought it was going to be Umae versus Ravens Group.
Yeah.
And then it's taken a completely different turn now. And there's almost this third group now to leave you wondering, okay, well, what's happened over there? It looks like there's like maybe an internal division because, well, they lost the tag titles. And are they going to be a tag team anymore? Then Ricky Shane Page kicked Buddy out, or like, what's the deal on that one? So there's a different storyline there. So it was a good show in the sense of like how many storylines came out of it. And it gave you a banger main event. It gave you some interesting developments throughout the show, but then it left you with an oh my god. So like the way I look at it, you really have to put that show as one of the better book shows this year in any wrestling promotion.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Sorry. I was just actually adding a little bit to the YouTube side of things so we can kind of get that rock and roll, and hopefully we'll reel a few people in. Maybe we can get some subs. If anybody does happen to be catching this at any point in time, likes, follow, subscribes, those wonderful things are great. And I see you've got us broadcasting through Facebook Live, which is kind of a cool thing that we've been doing on a few shows as of late. So anybody watching on Facebook Live, hello, thank you We appreciate the love and support. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, there just seems like a lot of people have kind of died off on the Facebook, but it's a great tool that connect to people. So still use it, and what better way to use it than add it to some of our streams.
Yeah.
If by chance you don't have a Twitch account or you don't use YouTube and you have a Facebook, there you go. We're just giving you another option.
Options are always wonderful. Everybody loves options, so
yeah, it's like kind of like it's like our version of option C.
Option C.
No.
There's always an option C.
But
so
yeah, what did you happen to watch anything on the SmackDown side of things or not really? Because I know I kind of like phased through. It was on in the background.
No, but let me know what happened.
Well, this is more like lead up. You had like a tag match between Charlotte and Becky, and it seems like now they're just acting like they'd never got along with each other, and it was like awkward almost. They changed the match, so the Carlito Santos match isn't happening. They had Santos injure Carlito, which was very weird. And then Dragon Lee came out to not came out because it was like in-ring promo segment that spilled into the backstage, and then Dragon Lee came to help Carlito, and then Nick Aldis went to go postpone the match because Carlito's not medically cleared, and then Dragon Lee's like, I'll take its place, and then boom, now it's Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar, and you're like, arguably a better match. But it makes no sense.
No, I mean, it is what it is. The story of professional wrestling.
Which is funny because like Santos takes over Ray. Dragon Lee's supposed to be like Ray's, like the new Ray in WWE, so to speak. That's how he's being. Like it seems like they're building him up as. So it's like, okay, this is almost like it almost feels like it's like a modern day version of like Eddie and Ray. But there's no backstory to them being any of that yet, but it definitely gives you that vibe.
They'll get there eventually, 10 years down the road.
So that's weird. And then it's funny because we were talking about like the women's War Games match, and then now it seems like they have more underlining stories than any other match, or just as much as any other match. So it's crazy stuff.
Especially for something that didn't have a very long build ahead of it. But I guess it's just the impact of Kairi Sane entering and this whole new formation happening that it unfolded quick enough that, I mean, maybe War Games wasn't exactly the answer, but oh well, we'll take it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, is anybody not going to believe that Bayley's getting the shit kicked out of her after the match?
See, I hope they don't. I hope they don't give it to us tomorrow. I hope they slow burn it because there is no other PLE. Shut the fuck up, cat.
You kitty.
I didn't even know you were down here.
Are we going to have a problem here?
Might. This cat is not quiet. And like
this one was snoring a little bit ago.
Like I'll hold my cat and it'll go like meow. I'm like, what? Meow. I'm like, yes. Like it was funny. Like I was sleeping. So like I've been sick lately. So I've been sleeping on the couch so I don't get my wife or my son sick, right?
Yeah.
And then I have a glass of water in one of the cup holders in the sectional that we have. Then I wake up and then all of a sudden you just see the cat. And like it doesn't jump up on the couch. It just like jumps and like leans onto like the place where the cup holder is and starts like pawing the water and like licking its paw. I'm like, you have 3 water bowls and this is how you decide to drink water?
Oh, yeah.
Like literally almost a bowl per level of our house. But you want to steal the water out of the cup I'm drinking out of.
You know, I'm gonna do something I haven't done before. I'm gonna upload a video that's gonna be a short coming out tomorrow morning, early, or well, not early, early afternoon, kind of
So
like
does this-
noon, kind of like noon your time. But this was funny.
I like how you say that. We're only 1 hour off now.
No, I know.
So
Noon your time, 1 Sasky time.
So does this constitute as the breaking news?
Oh, not breaking news, or does it? I don't know. Sure, if there's
breaking news, somebody reported. Breaking.
we go over here, and this is going to be a short clip coming out tomorrow morning from tonight's paper preview.
I think it'd be funny if he RKO'd all of his tag team partners.
He what?
RKO'd.
Okay.
Just priceless. That was good. That was good.
It was so funny because I was about to write something down, and then he said that, and I'm like, what?
I couldn't even try to get back to that. That was like that was some variation of the letter K I've never heard before.
The best is because if you listen right before, he said it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, say what now? And there's that time though too. Like you're listening, you're paying attention, and then you have that like couple seconds where you're gonna go write something down, or you have something written down, you're gonna check it. Then he says that, and you're just like, you hear it, but then it kind of bypasses you a little bit. But then I had the wherewithal. I'm like, I'm not gonna. So what was that? Like that was like an hour into it.
Yeah, that was
and then I was like,
104 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes after our like heavy battle over the Miz.
Oh yeah, that was quite the debate. Very good debate. Very well played. And I still don't agree with Ed after it. He argued well. I'll give him that. He argued well, but I still can't get on board. Not when Gunther's there.
Well, take the personal opinions aside, because it's fine. Because you can like the Miz. I don't care about that. I like the Miz. It's just like it was funny.
I respect him.
I see a stat on Instagram, and it was like 531 days for Gunther as Intercontinental Champion, and then like 592 for the Miz. And they're like, so wait a second. He's only 61 days longer as Intercontinental Champion, and he had 7 more attempts.
Yep.
That's the greatest? Like on average? It's like, okay. If I can find my pen that I absolutely almost hit my cat with accidentally, which I did. Okay, I'm gonna do some quick math here. All right. So he's had it 8 times. It was what, 592 I said? Okay, so we got 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. Okay. Minus 3, 32. So 8. Okay, so 592 divided by 8 is 74.
Okay. I'll take your word on it.
You can fact check me on that. I'm actually going to use my calculator now because I'm not too sure. Because what's that thing? It's like, oh yeah, I'm really good at fast math. Okay, what's like 304 times 82? 7. Not right. Yeah, but it's fast though.
And I don't feel like I'm on the spot with math.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. I did it right. So on every championship reign, he averaged 2.5 months.
Ouch.
To Gunther's 531 days as his average reign as Intercontinental Champion.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
It's like he's working on his second year. I don't know. Yeah,
they've had long title reigns in general in WWE lately, which is kind of nice to see.
It is, but it's kind when it's everyone though, it's kind of annoying.
I don't know. I kind of just am a stickler for making the titles matter in a sense like they are. It is nice that Gunther's out there defending it a lot. That helps. That helps a lot in that reign.
He has to be the most dominant champion in WWE history, based on how long he held the NXT UK title. I mean, how long did he hold the NXT title for? Or did he have the NXT title?
No, he did. He did.
Yeah.
But it was the UK run that was the big one.
Yeah. And then
let's just look this up then. Gunther, NXT champion. You can find that stat out. Walter at the time became the longest reigning NXT United Kingdom champion.
he was over 2 years on that.
He held that one for 870 days.
Yeah.
Maybe did he just bypass not do the NXT championship then? Because it really just seems to be giving me stats on the UK run.
Oh, hold on. Well, that's why I checked. I thought he was NXT champion at some point. Could be wrong. But because I thought Braun Breaker or maybe he challenged for it then and didn't win.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he lost it to Dragunov, right? And
Yeah,
then
that's who won the UK one. Yeah.
And then Dragunov had to forfeit the title because he got hurt. Tyler Bate won it, then brought that over to NXT, and then I thought because they went to go unify everything when UK shut down. And then, it was Tyler Bate and Braun Breaker then, yeah. And then, Braun Breaker went on to face Gunther went on to face Braun Breaker. But I thought he had something when or did he just win a match? And then he announced that, Walter's not the winner. He's Gunther now. Because it was very, quick of a name change. No backstory. It's
Yeah.
He came out as Walter, won the match, and he said, no, I'm Gunther now.
So it sounds like he beat LA Knight in a match, and then on April 5th, faced NXT champion Braun Breaker in a losing effort.
Yeah.
Which was his final appearance for the brand.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I don't think he was actually NXT champion. No. Just UK.
But I know that was in the 2.0 time. Because we had him there for a brief amount of time. But anyway, the point I was going with was that he has not been in WWE very long and not been a champion.
Yeah.
Because he beat Pete Dunne in his first attempt for that title, basically his first UK takeover.
Those takeovers were awesome.
Oh my god!
I really enjoyed those.
I wonder, with the way NXT is going, I wonder if they ever get back to that level, if they ever decide to bring the takeover back. Because if the shows are bigger and they're going to the arenas, then maybe those are the takeovers again. I don't know.
Good question. Come on, chat. Where are you? Everybody's in bed, sleeping. What are they doing?
I don't know.
Kitty, get us some views.
Well, the funny thing is, on my end of the Twitch, I see 14 people on.
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch online.
What's it active?
Even ones with a lot of viewers too. So share the wealth. Right. If you just stick it out long enough, one of them will be heading off and be like, "Oh, these guys need some help." Throw it your way. But I hear you're making friends in the form of Shayna Baszler here earlier today.
No, we just rated her. So I was like, why not? Let's just do it. And we got a shout out. So that was cool.
Shout outs are cool.
Yeah. Shout out from the only remaining MMA 4-horsewoman in WWE.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
But, yeah. And it's funny because if they were to rebuild her up to where she was when she probably should have taken the title off Becky,
Mm-hmm.
do you think she's reasonable to take the title off Rhea?
If they do it right, for sure, because she has those qualities, 100%. They just need to rebuild Shayna as a dominant person inside that ring. And that's when you'll be able to do that kind of thing. If it was to happen tomorrow, I don't know. It would take some real clever in-ring storytelling in order to have.
Well, she doesn't have
Shayna
a match tomorrow.
currently.
She's not on the card tomorrow.
No. I get that. I'm just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm just hypothetical.
Oh, you just mean if they were to
Yeah.
do like right away.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of, yeah, hypothetical. That kind of thing, I think like you'd really have to do some solid in-ring storytelling to make that work. Because I don't know. I think Vince bastardized how dominant Shayna could have been by having Shayna where she was. That's
All
maybe
she
just
did
my
was just
opinion. I
one
don't know.
championship run. Like, that's really it. Like, just have one. Just have one badass run. I mean, that's really all she needed in NXT for her to gain the reputation, right?
Everybody else in the division has had a championship. Really? Like,
For the most part, yeah.
yeah, but not Shayna Baszler. Like, why not? Why not? I don't
It's
get
like,
it.
yeah, and it's, I don't know, it's weird. And
Her
it's
time's
like, I don't
coming.
know. It's like, huh?
Her time is coming. Triple H
Oh,
will
yeah.
fix it.
I mean, she's kind of like the Bobby Roode, right? In the main roster for the women.
Did I accidentally? Kat, did you press the button?
Button, right? What?
I think it was a button pressed. Oh no, I get what happened. Don't worry. Stoner moment.
I get you.
I'm watching the wrong screen.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay, Kitty, you're off the hook this time. I thought she had pressed the button to play the video. And I was like, how come the audio of the video is not coming through?
It's all right. I now have like 3 devices, and I have 3 different mice, I guess you call them. Like, so I color coded so I don't confuse them. Right, I was smart enough to do that, but I bought the exact same ones, so the feel of them aren't all the same. So if I'm not looking and I grab the wrong one, I don't know until I'm like looking. I'm like, okay, where's my mouse? Nope, okay. But yeah, the same brand, same type of mouse, just different colors.
We should just tag this video, call it annoying cat video, and then just like have our cats make odd meowing sounds for a while, and every cat lover will be on here watching the show.
Meow, meow, meow. Yeah, we'll all of a sudden Natty will watch. Like Natalia will just watch this.
Yeah.
The hearts have rated you and given you a shout out of 50 felines.
50 felines. I'll take.
Boss is now following you on Twitch.
You hear that, Kitty? We're gonna get some cat friends.
Yeah, let's start a community with our cats.
Yeah. Hey, views of you, man. Views of you. If we have to sell out to Meow TV, I'm okay selling out
50
to Meow
favorite
TV.
meowmans.
50 favorite meowments. Up with those the cat attacks. That
Well, that's what.
yeah. When you've been on like every fucking episode of Bustin' Out, just about you have, if not everyone. Yeah, I'm staring at you. Go to your chair.
So how's the Prairie Pro Wrestling scene?
Oh, you know, it's got a show coming up. It's yeah, no, we got September 2nd right around the corner, coming up quicker than you think. Like, just I don't know. This one came up very fast because we not as much time between shows this time around, but looking forward to it. Should be good. We got the number one contenders match that's currently the only announced match going into the card, which will be Colton Kelly versus Tony Novak. I'm sure Sheik will be defending his belt at some point that night. And, the announcements of the tag belts. So I don't know officially. I don't have the word if the tag belts will be there in person. But it's kind of where I thought they were leading when the announcement was made at the last show. So hopefully those tag belts are ready so we can unveil them to the world. I have seen the design when it was being made. It's pretty. I like them. So looking forward to it.
Well, it's good because there's a multiple amount of companies out here in Alberta that don't understand how to put out nice-looking design tag titles without maybe copying somebody or just forgetting to put. I mean, I get it. People like to indulge in the cannabis, but
what?
Do not mix that with alcohol and then think your brain ideas are going to be good for title designs. We have some of those companies.
I've had some good nights of drinking and smoking that led to some good thoughts. At
Hey,
least
there's exceptions
in my head, they were good.
There's exceptions to all rules. But
I did say in my own mind they were good. Though.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's been some bad ones. Like I remember when this was actually funny. A guy that I used to work with in wrestling, he was my manager. He's also a tattoo artist, right? And then we were in the position to redesign our titles. So I was like, cool. I like that. I like to be creative. I like to kind of try to bring back some traditional looking stuff. That's what I prefer. Could do this on Sunday. We could do a title draft, our favorite title designs.
Okay.
Ooh.
You'd have to let me know soon because I'd have to study that pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Well,
no.
I'm letting you know.
Yeah. All right. That works.
Documented.
Yeah, committed to memory. Oh, The cat came back the very next fucking minute.
But yeah, so anyway, obviously that gets kiboshed because they might be pricey to make, and we all know like indie promoters, they don't have much of a financial freedom, let's say, when it comes to company money.
No, of course not. There's not as much money in indie wrestling as what some people out there might believe.
So my idea, though, was something like the classic WWF tag team titles, right? So they use that as an outline, but they get this they have this metal guy who made them. And I'm like, oh no, this ain't gonna work out because it's just like a piece of metal with like thick metal on there, and then those are the kind of titles you just don't want to ever have to use, let alone you never want to get hit by, because it's like pointy metal sticking out of something, and you're just like, nope, I'm going to like cut an artery if I get hit by that. No, thank you. But the size of this thing, like, I am no joke. If I were to have this title up, it would be as kind of wide as the screen. And then it was just a stupid size. It like covered almost about 85% of my like neck to stomach. Like 80% of this circumference. And then it had the shortest strap possible. So you're like, oh, okay, it's cool. You get one beer belly. You cannot put this thing on. Awesome. But yeah, it got like I remember somebody took a photo, and then it was like years later, somebody put it up on the internet, like in this group or whatever, and it was just like title belts or whatever, and people rate them. Somebody threw that one up, and it just got completely roasted. And then one guy comments, and I think he was out in the States. He was like in the mid, like not Chicago, but like that midtown, like Midwest area. He said, "Gross title, absolutely disgusting." But it reminds me like the old WWF tag title, so that's cool. And I'm just like, oh great, the one thing that I was like that stayed from my original idea, at least people got. But no, I mean, I don't know. Like, I hate like that was always one of the things I hated. Was like wrestling, and then like you get to win a title, and then the title is like the ugliest thing in the world. And you're just like, I have to carry this in front of people outside of a show.
See, I'm doing it in the pattern of the song. Ole, 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 ole.
Ole! Ole! Ole!
See, it's after dark. We don't even have to be
Ole!
responsible.
No, God, no.
When the lights go out.
You forgot to pay your bill.
That always sucks. See,
Have you ever done that to the point?
The thing is that like all these people are constantly calling and they always want their money, and I'm like, look, I do this one little strategy. I take all of your names and I put them in a hat. And then I draw 2 names that month, and that's
What
who
is
gets
that
paid.
awful?
And if you don't like it, then I'll just start taking your name out of the hat completely.
What is that awful?
There's a stand-up comedian I heard do that
Yeah.
segment one night, and I fucking loved it. It was so good.
Who was it?
I can't remember for the
I
life of me.
remember that.
Yeah. Still just totally funny though. Such a good joke.
Oh my god.
Sometimes it's just the delivery or the comedian themselves. Like it can be the oddest thing, but sometimes it just works.
Did you see that? Like Matt Rife is getting canceled now.
Everyone's gonna get canceled eventually.
It's like he has this like humor that he makes fun of everything, right? Brand, I guess, convinced him to do TikTok because he wasn't really sure about his career, and then all of a sudden he gets a shitload of views, becomes famous because he got the views, because we live in a world where you don't have to be, not that he's not good, but like you don't have to be good. As long as you have a lot of views, you're famous now. So all of a
Doesn't
sudden
mean you have to be politically correct or anything, or
picks up-
care about other people either.
he picks up all this steam. Netflix gives him a special, so he has a special. He made a domestic joke.
Oh, that's this. Yeah, this is sensitive for a lot of people, and it should be. They have the right to be. I mean, really.
What I find funny about the situation, not the joke.
Nothing funny about the situation. Come on.
No. It's the people. Like, this is what I find funny. It's the people, because if you listen to the special, everyone basically laughs their live, right? So everyone's finding this funny for the most part. Like, you're not hearing any like heckling, you're not hearing any of that. But then you go on social media and nobody finds it fun. And you're like, what? You're telling me that there's that crossover? And like, to me, what I find funny is the consistency of people nowadays. It's not like, obviously, it's comedy. Like, I'm not going to get too butthurt over comedy. I'm not really going to get too butthurt. I'm just like, hey, I don't believe you should say this, so I'm just not going to say this. And that's just how I am. Like, I'm just like I can't control what other people do, and I don't really care about trying. But it's just hilarious to me that, like, you know what this guy did before. It's not like it's the first time he made jokes about this stuff. Where were you before he got famous?
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
like
it's just
it's fun.
things.
And like the joke wasn't even like that bad in compare. Like I've heard more famous people get away with saying a lot worse. What I thought was funny though was his response, because I thought the response was hilarious. I thought the joke was in bad taste.
I don't know. I think people know what they're getting themselves into, and they just shouldn't. I think that they should just back off of some of these subjects and just, you know what? There's a lot of people out there that are, not okay with these things and stuff like that. And it's like, just because some people are doesn't still make it right, kind of thing. And therefore, like, I got to jump on the side of like, just don't say it, man. Like, try to be more original. That's a better way. Try to be more original. If you can't be funny and original without having to go down some of those tropes, maybe you're not as good a comedian as you think.
Oh no, and I agree, but there's also a level of consistency from people who like, if you're aware this guy touches those subjects and you don't like him, why don't you just make the choice to not watch him? Like, is that truly difficult? Like,
because you can't stay away from it anymore because of the fucking internet, man.
I know.
Social
like,
media
it blows my mind.
In your face, regardless, like whether
Like,
you want to or not. That's the issue.
Like, is there not a point now where we have to like hold people accountable and be like, look, you put yourself in a position to get mad. Deal with it. That's like, if you knew that was going to happen, or if you knew like that was the type of humor you're going to like listen to, and you don't like it, and you chose to do it, man, like, come on, like, look in the mirror and just be like, could I have not chose to not worry about that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about things that can trigger a person because they've gone through it or experienced it and stuff like that, and it's when it's unavoidable because of the way that it gets shared so quickly and so rapidly in a modern age, that essentially that gets to these people anyway, and those triggers will happen. And
sure,
when in a world that we're talking about, mental health problems and stuff like that, for a lot of people, it's not really right to a mass amount of people who will be triggered by that to be exposed to it just because some people might find it funny. And that's the problem with modern technology, is that you're going to have that problem. If you're going to say it, it's going to end up out there, and you are going to hurt people in the process.
Sure, but I do think that there is times where the person is looking to make a scene. And it's those types of people I personally can deal without. And I don't discard the information, but the rationale to why you're going there, I just find those are like real life version of dirty politics to me.
But I mean, you're arguing for those who went directly to the show, right? Not necessarily like the ones it hurts when these clips come out and they expose it all to the internet and everything like that. But I mean, essentially, even still, you're going to have those people that go to it because they find it humorous, that they're not going to have a problem. They'll pay for this, and then they're the ones that are going to go put it on the internet, which is what causes these triggers and everything like that to happen, which is very unfair.
What I shake my head at, it isn't so much, okay, if you don't like that something and you're like, you know what, that's wrong, don't say it. Gotcha. Because you have the right to feel that way. Everyone does, right? But at the same time, I look at what I see in comedy on social media, right? And you see almost the same thing through a different variety of people. Why? Because there's a niche of comedy like that. There just is. And instead of going to a mall, they're attacking one and only one, or like something like that. And I'm like, I don't understand your reasoning to why you got so upset on this one, whereas you got this guy over here that you probably also listened to, and you chose not to have that same action. And it's weird to me. And it's like, I don't know. this is why like there's part of me that just loses faith on the consistency and the accountability of humanity, because when it doesn't go their way, then they go to that one little thing you can't argue about, and that's like, oh, well, this affected me this way, and then you're just like, well, you can't really say anything about that because that's a very sensitive subject too, right? Like it's hard because there are people like that, and I think those are the people that, like, if you can't find pleasure in something, then you shouldn't also look out for damaging people as well. Does that make sense?
Well, I definitely get where you're coming from. I really think just there's nothing in it that I can foresee in defending comedians and triggers like domestic abuse. I mean, I think it's a line that got crossed that should have never been crossed. And
well, did you hear the joke?
No, and I don't care to be honest.
And quite honestly, I would like to hear why people attacked him for that joke over, say, Anthony Jeselnik, as an example, and some of his humor and stuff like that. Because in comparison, you're really comparing a pillow to a brick.
Because you're talking about a world where something trends and whatever gets catches the eye of the online community is what's going to get noticed. And we know that that's how it works. So like, if people heard those or found out about those, again, those would become triggers too, and that's going to ignite that same reaction once that kind of gets found out or starts to become a trending thing, essentially.
And I think too, like that's really going to wreck this world in a completely different way. When we let trends and we let clips and we don't take into account the context of stuff in full. Because that's the funny thing. I heard this joke in a small context window. I didn't hear if there was a build up to stuff to it, and that was like a punchline or stuff like that. And that could change the context of what I saw from a clip. But I don't know. To me, I was more shocked that was the iceberg in that situation. And the consistency of people disappointed me, to be quite honest, because at what point can people separate entertainment and their feelings? Because entertainment is not supposed to be anything more than you escaping reality and just being able to not worry about that stress in life. And that's why I personally love wrestling, because that's what wrestling always did for me. I would forget about if I had a bad day at school, did bad on a test, or I got in trouble or whatever. If I watched Monday Night Raw, all I cared about was just watching Monday Night Raw. And I didn't care about all the other things that would build up inside my head.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's a coping mechanism for a lot of people, not necessarily just wrestling. For wrestling fans, yes, wrestling is a coping mechanism for keeping your head out of the clouds and through all the bullshit and stuff like that kind of thing. But like any TV shows, movies, music, stuff like that, everybody has their escape, and escape is great. That's it's what we aim to do too when we do streams, is give people an escape from their everyday so that they can have something to laugh about or change their mood, change their day, change their mind.
Because it'd be no different than, we do this, right? Like we have those streams and we do it for the people that, take the time out and they, they just want to have a good time. They want to take an hour and 10 minutes or whatever, maybe even 20 minutes, right? If that just takes them away from their everyday struggles or everyday stuff, and they're just able to enjoy something, then it's awesome. It's just, but then you get maybe the one person that just says, "Oh, one out of like 15 people say, nope, this bugs me, makes a scene out of it. All of a sudden, we're no longer on screen.
Yeah. Well,
it's like,
that's why you gotta be careful.
At sometimes though, we got to listen to the other 14 people and wonder, their opinions matter too. That's all I'm saying in this general big thing is that if 14 people say it's not wrong and one does, we got to hear out all 15, not just one.
Yeah, but I mean that's the way it's been for such a long time, just like power groups of people teaming up to unhear.
Oh, I didn't say we got
voiceless and stuff like that. So I feel like just you're trying to single out one person saying that their feelings don't matter really when you're saying that, because like I mean if something bothers them, then
because aren't you doing it the other way though? If you're just siding on the side of one, aren't you now saying the other 14 their feelings of like being happy with it don't count either?
But what if it's at the expense of that one person?
But you're now changing our context though, and that's where I say like I've always said like context matters on everything. But like sometimes I feel like we got to I say we find out like from say that 14. Why did you like this? All right, cool. One person. Why didn't you like this? And then you go back and then you're like, okay, is there something I can do better? But to flat out go to an extreme without doing the in between work of finding out if there's something wrong or not, because there might not have been. It's all how people react to what they hear. Not everyone's going to have the same reaction. It's like if you watch something on TV, everyone's going to have a different way of taking in that content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good or bad, they're going to have a different form. Like I can watch Dana Brooke and never be entertained. Somebody out there will love watching her wrestle.
They will.
I
mean, I guess Ed does.
I mean, but like that's right. Like to me, like it has nothing about taking one person and saying you're wrong, whatever. But at the same time, you can't just take 1 out of 14 and go extreme. You have to grow from one, but still be able to entertain the 14.
Oh, it's an odd debate for sure. But
yeah. Like what I'm just saying, like out of 15, why does one change the course of everything, and why can't the 15 change the course of it?
Because you got to consider everybody, and what you can't say something's okay if it will cause pain and suffering to said person, kind of thing. If fun and laughter is at the expense of somebody's mental health because it hurts them, then does that still in your mind make that right? Because to me it wouldn't. I think that trumps the opinion of the 14.
It always goes down to the context of what it is. My rationale of what I'm saying is one person can make a difference 100%. But you can't just assume off that one person is right when you have a larger set. You have to say, okay, this is something we look into. And that's where you start. What I don't like is this extreme going left to right because nobody understands how to work in the middle. I'm just saying, like, when you think you have to make an extreme decision on something like that, chances are you're not handling the situation right.
But many people have had to work through the middle for so long that should they not be allowed to come forward and be who they want to be? And
no, but at the same time, like, if one person is coming in, they're not changing 14 people of changing who they wanted to be as well. Is that right?
If what the 14 want is at the expense of hurting another person. And I'm not talking about physical hurt, I'm talking about mental hurt. And
No.
I mean, if that 14 comes at the expense of somebody's mental health and feelings, then I don't think that the 14 should ultimately want to be on board. If anything, the 14 should want to sit down and listen.
But why are we
why
already pegging the 14 to be people like that?
I'm not pegging them to be bad people. What I'm saying is they need to be people that will be willing to sit down and listen to the one. Why not ask why?
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
And listen and take that in and absorb it.
But
absorb it and learn from it to
that's
adapt.
The middle ground work that I'm saying needs to happen.
Yeah.
We just can't say, oh, this person doesn't like it. Okay, it's canceled. I think that's too extreme, and it does no favors to the growth of anything. I think you listen to one, you listen to 14, and you're like, okay, well, we know one of 15 doesn't like this.
But mental health can take a person to a dark place, and all it takes is that one thing to trigger a person, and you almost take on a different identity. So it's, maybe that extreme is them lashing out at a whole bunch of being held back for so long at the same time. So it's like you got to almost kind of understand and
let me finish.
Some people can go there, and I mean for sure. Sorry, but go ahead.
No, because like it's like, okay, you notice that there's like say it's like 14 green dots, you get one red, right? Cool. That's what you do, right? And you're like, okay, we understand that we have one red dot. Okay, we know we have 14 good. So we know for the most part, by these numbers, the majority of what they saw for most people is good. But there is room to look into this and understand it does not work for everyone. Now, if we were to enlarge that and we say we have 14 million people that liked it, and now we have 1 million, obviously, you're going to notice that there's probably going to be more of a collective understanding to that wrong. And because now it's something that's, a little bit more understanding to people, because some people do go by those numbers. Some people you can't always take one like test and say, okay, you're not a smart person when it comes to a test. Some people need to take a test like 3 times, 4 times, like a driver's test, right? Some people take 5 times to pass it. It's not that they're a bad driver, but they might not also be a good one. So you got to understand by doing maybe multiple times to see if they can get that right more often than not before you kind of understand that. It's exactly the whole time. Like you can't say this one person is right until you do that legwork and finding out, okay, is there something that one person can teach us? And maybe, just maybe, there's also something that one person isn't getting to feel that way too. And you have to look at both sides of the coin before you understand the value of the coin itself.
Yeah, but the problem is that the vast majority aren't listening to those voices, and that's why the voices get angry, right? Like any person who feels that they're not being listened to is going to get upset. They're going to lash out. They're going to scream at the top of their lungs. But I mean, even as children, we did that. That was the natural reaction to parents telling us things we don't want to hear, and we feel like they're not listening, so we scream it back out at them. It's these voices want to be heard, and they need to be heard, and they should be heard. And everybody needs to learn from them. I know where you're going and everything like that, and I definitely respect that. I feel like, as a society, a mental shift has to change entirely in the way we think and the way we listen and the way we adapt to the world in general, especially if we want to survive as a whole society and stuff like that, because working towards inner peace and outer peace as well too amongst everyone is a way towards a society that we've never seen in history, and I feel would be better for the entire world in general, like for all human beings.
but how do you get better of a society though? Do you hear the one do you hear people do you hear the one person go out and make an extreme decision, or do you try to understand and learn and try to evolve together?
Well, you got to listen and evolve together.
Yeah.
That's how it works, of course. But again, when people feel like they've been closed off and not heard, sometimes it takes some other people to just kind of take that time and that patience to listen and to learn.
But
and it's not that difficult. We can all do it.
But that's what I'm saying. And when we're talking about that 15, though, we understand that one person doesn't like, but we don't make an extreme change on something until we find out if that's needed to be done or not. We gotta figure it out. You gotta use all 15 to figure out, and not one. If that one person needs if we're going in that thing, if one person needs help, there's a good chance that one person doesn't understand how to be helped, and that's why they're having the struggle. So we need to acknowledge, as the other that other 14 need to acknowledge that, and then work together to help that out, because without help of everybody else, that 15 person is helpless. But that's what I mean. We need to do more working on the situation than making extreme reactionary decisions, because we're not going to get any better if we do extreme reactions. We need to take the time to figure it out and then make a decision according to what we've learned.
Well, the problem is that there's been a lot of time for that learning already. Just many of us have not done it. And that's where the shift needs to change, is take the time to think ahead, get ahead of that, and just do it. That's personally my recommendation. I mean, I've gone on that personal journey and stuff like that too. And that
but when you say do it, there's going to be a lot of people that have no idea what it is, and that's the disconnect that is from the people. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to help. It's not that they feel like they're right. It's they don't know how to. I find we have to do a better job educating people how to help.
How to help
that way.
Talk
and
talk.
And that's just it.
Reach out and talk. That's all I can recommend, is reach out and talk and listen. And when I say talk, do your talking with your ears. Listen hard. So. Not all conversations are easy, and nobody expects them to be, but we got everybody out there's got to listen more. Listen to everybody and love more. That's how I feel.
Yeah, but there's also, I just said it from the get-go. You just got to always work together instead of going A to Z. You got to learn B to Y before you can understand A, B, C, D, E, all that stuff. Because if you go A to Z, you're wrecking more than that one person.
Yeah, but again, I mean, we could go trail back on this every single time. But again, even based on situational, you're saying that again, you could, the one person's voice should count. Again, if no one life is worth the core subject here, jokes. No one life is worth a joke, ever.
No, life is not a joke, and that's the big point. But there's also, you can't just assume also that if things trigger you. Let's put this into perspective though. If I know there's a conversation or a topic that is just going to piss me off, What's the one thing I should probably not do?
Get involved in it.
Exactly.
Because it's really not worth getting involved in
Exactly.
anything like that. Life's too short to.
In a nutshell, that.
Yeah.
So, like, if you know a comedian isn't going to make jokes that you're going to like, just don't go see him, and you won't get upset by it.
Yeah, but again, like
You have that choice.
It's social media, man. Social media, it's going to get out there regardless. Can't avoid it. Like things that we all dislike make their way to social media, and we're exposed to things that make us uncomfortable or triggered all the time. And there's people that go through a lot worse than, a lot of us do, that have to face these triggers on a daily basis in more ways than one. And I don't know. I don't know. I can't foresee any way to say that I can justify the action of using that kind of subject matter. Do better. That's what I say to comedians like that. Do better. Make me laugh for reasons I haven't heard before.
Oh, I mean,
that's your task.
If you have to use specific jokes like that just to like get a laugh, it's like it's no different from a wrestler always having to say
it's lazy writing is what it is.
It's no different from a wrestler always having to use right here in this town to get a reaction, right? Cheap heat. It's cheap comedy.
What do you want to get?
But if you know you're going to see somebody that does cheap comedy, then you have to ask the secondary question: what did you expect to get? Like what did you hope for when you decided to make that? Like what was your expectation, or what was your intention of going there? Like what were you hoping to find? Because, as I said, if I know there's a topic that's going to piss me off, and I decide to go in it, and it pisses me off, I have to look back at some point and say, well, what did I expect? At some point, that question has to be asked.
Yeah, but I mean, again, if you're going to get overexposed to you're trying to avoid same subject and you get overexposed to it on social media, you didn't expect that, but it's going to piss you right off. And so it should, because it's in your face and you can't avoid it like you want to.
No, but now again, that is changing the context of that situation. Because what happens if I was the one who was going in not liking something, and then I went in because I want to fight against it, and then it triggered me in my mental health. So now I'm going to take that same theory and put me in that position as the one who got triggered. It's a completely different conversation at that point, right?
Yeah, but if your trigger is justified, then you should be able to speak up and explain to people why and have your voice heard too. And again, if it's considered to be justifiable, then rightfully so. But nothing can ever be at the expense of somebody's, mental health because of petty shit that just doesn't need to be said. And honestly, it's like there's no defense for those lazy jokes, in my opinion.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing about comedy is you see those jokes almost everywhere. And
yeah, because lazy ass writers.
But there's also a lot of people that have a following because of that stuff, because maybe it's the way they say the joke, maybe it's the way that the joke comes off, maybe it's the way they tackle the issue. Who knows? I don't know.
Nickelback has a following, doesn't mean they're fucking good.
People like Five Nights at Freddy.
No human being like Five Nights at Freddy's. Fuck that movie.
Some people think The Miz is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Yeah, good one, Ed. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you know what? At least, Ed makes good arguments. He really tries, but not get on board.
No.
I mean, no disrespect to the Miz. I mean, he tries, but again, he's always the guy that tries. He's always the one that has to try because there's nothing else other than giving it his best.
Well,
Gunther just happens to be a million times better in every aspect. I'm sorry.
it was funny because I thought that this was so ironic when the Miz and LA Knight had their thing because I was like, okay, Miz is what the fans didn't like. They're almost the same thing, right? But Miz was presented in a way, and I actually think this is very ironic based on kind of the world we live in. Miz came up on a time that if he came up nowadays, he'd be an instant star, and he would be an instant world champion type star because people would say, put that guy in a title match, put that guy in this, give him the championship, give him a long reign, just like they're doing with LA Knight. But if LA Knight was this guy during the Miz's time when you had people with that older mentality in the locker room and be like, oh, we're gonna push you a little bit harder because we want to make sure you earn your spot here. Does LA Knight stand around? And I thought they worked so well because they were so much more alike. And it's like I understand the intrigue here. You got a dominant technical wrestler, traditional type performer in Gunther, going up against the sports entertainer that is Miz. Miz had a thing like I remember him saying, it was just that I think it was today or yesterday, and it's like if you were to build your perfect Survivor Series like War Games team, who would you do? And he picked Ultimate Warrior, the Rockers, himself, and The Rock. All people that Gunther probably would have said, and he said on the bump, he hated the Ultimate Warrior. He was a showman. He said The Rock is a showman. He was just a really good showman. And he was able to open doors for people and help grow the business. But he was a showman, and he was. He really was. Nobody would say The Rock was the best technical wrestler. They would say he's by far one of the more entertaining performers. They wouldn't put Chris Benoit and The Rock in the same category when it comes to professional wrestling ability.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, you're talking about two completely different styles in the first place, so it's hard to compare apples to apples. Like, if you're going technical wrestlers, then you're talking a different ballgame, and not a lot of technical wrestlers have the greatest stick game. I mean, the stick game is probably one of their lesser things that they're comfortable with, kind of thing. But technically, inside the ring, their feet speak words, and their actions, their holds, everything like that speaks words.
And that's kind of where we are, because I remember when I was like more kid, I liked more technical guys over the entertainers, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are. That's why there's a time where you watched the Intercontinental title because that was where all your favorites were, because you didn't like the Hulk Hogans, you didn't necessarily like the Ultimate Warriors, you didn't like some of the guys in the heavyweight picture scene, so to speak, right?
I mean, I really liked essentially all of it, to be honest. Like I was a different breed, but that's just the way it is. Like I did enjoy the entertainers back then, even still. I mean, I started as a Hogan fan, Warrior. I mean, yeah, sure, but at the time, but looking back now, I'm like, fuck yeah, I can't. Watching a Warrior match is painful. Like, just fucking painful.
But that's what I like too. It's like the niche. It's a niche market, right? Like some people like traditional wrestling, some people like the performing art of it. That's why the most successful people know how to do both at a high level. The people who get by, they know how to do both well. And then the people that can get phased out are the ones that don't do either one that great. But if you do one really great, you kind of extend that shelf life. And that's pretty much how I feel like you have a WWE careers one based on that. But the Miz and Gunther, like it's apples and oranges.
Miz
and
is
then-
putting Gunther over hard in this match. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, my thing is like, why does the Miz need the Intercontinental title? Like in the grand scheme of this, like why? So he can be a 9-time just so he can tie? Like, okay, we're just handing out records to people. Like, yeah. Let's see how well that did for Charlotte. You don't think Charlotte, if she had just a really long reign, a really good reign, instead of like 12 really small, stupid ones, you don't think she's better off with having one really good one?
Well, everybody would agree that. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
And records are great if there's something to back it up. Roman's record has been fantastic. Gunther's record has been fantastic. So yeah, but when you hand, like, I always find when you hand out multiple title reigns, you also have to lose them multiple times, which kind of takes the sting out of how good of a champion you are. Because every time you get it, you just fucking lose it right afterwards.
You know what I like when people do have like multiple title reigns? Like hypothetically, if I won the WWE title twice, but I lost it to the same guy twice, like I like when that kind of stats come in, because now it's like, now you're putting that like Superman kryptonite factor into play. Like you have that story. You're like, I am good enough to get here, but unless I gotta fight this guy, I just can't get over that hump. Now I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to have their.
We have a real comment now.
What? Hold on, we do.
I really
shit.
think the
Chris
Miz
Best
has
is
built
up.
himself to a point where he doesn't necessarily need another championship reign. And this is my thing on Miz. If he was so good on an Intercontinental champion, why does he still have to fight for it all these years later?
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He just needs to do his job and put Gunther over and get paid his lots of money to do so.
And like, it just blows my mind that, and like, it, to me, this is the thing. Just because you have all these reigns doesn't mean you're the best. Because again, yeah, he won it 8 times, but he lost it 8 times. Do I remember who beat him more than I remember who he beat? I guarantee that's a yes. Like, I don't remember, like, I remember him always having the title, but I never remember outside of the Dolph Ziggler feud really much of the substance.
No, that's about where my limit is too. Like, I mean, when you guys brought that up, I was looking at that clip. I'm looking at it going, yeah, I can't think of any, and I can name every Gunther match that's awesome because it's every fucking Gunther match. Everyone. Like, every Gunther match is that much better than every other match on the planet right now. Because the guy is on a different level inside the ring.
To me, when The Miz won the title from Randy Orton, it was a shock and awe moment. I think a lot of people said. Hence, Angry Miz Girl, which is still hilarious.
Ronda Rousey when she was a kid.
But it was also a moment where it's like, okay, it's time to take notice of what this guy truly is capable of. Because now he's going to get tested by the quote-unquote best guys in the company because he's holding that title. Main events, John Cena holds his own. Goes up against Randy Orton, holds his own. He's in programs with The Rock, holds his own. And you're like, okay, now I do think of this guy differently. I thought the WWE title did more to elevate him than the Intercontinental did because he needed that. I think the Intercontinental title, he kind of brought himself back down almost all the time. He made the Intercontinental title relevant in the sense of he made people understand that it was an important championship.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have said that he made the title the most prestigious title. And that's what his tagline was. This is the most relevant championship here. Why? Because when he was Intercontinental Champion, that's when he was getting the Marine. He was getting that. But he didn't make the title something everybody wanted. He just made that title something everybody saw.
All true things. Got no argument to that.
Chris Best, I too have trouble recalling his IC title reigns, but his two WWE title reigns I do recall. Well, I mean, the one last one. Yeah, his title match against Jerry Lawler, that was... I just look at that fondly now as the time Jerry Lawler was in a ring and nothing serious happened to him. Thank God. But, well, yeah, I mean, we know because he cashed in the first one, and then he took Otis's cash in. And I think it's like, okay.
That was like the worst segment of fucking cash-ins, and I already hate the cash-ins. Just Otis's win during the pandemic, just fucking garbage at a garbage pay-per-view, followed by garbage booking of having that thing flop over, and what a mess the pandemic era of wrestling was.
I was mad because I had picked AJ Styles to win in that match, and I would have had a perfect score on that show because obviously we did predictions for pay-per-views on our previous channel. And I would have had a perfect score. I would have ran the table. And then AJ Styles and Otis were the last two guys, and they it was AJ Styles and was it Baron Corbin? And they bobbled the title, or bobbled the briefcase, and then Otis just caught it. And I'm like, now, I actually don't hate that, but you have to make sure it's done well, not like totally bad. And it's like when WWE is trying to be funny or entertaining, it doesn't come off real. But when they're not trying at all, that's when it works. So it's like, stop scripting your entertainment and just let your entertainers entertain and be natural, and you're probably better off.
My fucking problem with that whole thing was my problem with a lot of stuff around that time was like, every once in a while, like somebody does a half decent cinematic match, which was okay, and everybody's talking about it. So let's all do fucking cinematic matches, and let's go ahead and take what can be top tier world champion main event fucking wrestlers and mix them with fucking job guys like Otis, and then have a fucking thing flop over to Otis where he might get put in a main event position. I don't care how much you ever spell it. Otis is a job guy for life. He's a comedy job fucking whatever. I just not on board with Otis. I think he's useless in terms of wrestling. He's not entertaining to me. His gimmick sucks, and I don't think I will ever see an improvement that I will enjoy from the guy. And I think that you watched the absolute downhill of AJ Styles' WWE run start with losing to fucking Otis.
Well, he didn't lose to Otis per se. Like, it wasn't AJ Styles lost.
He stepped in the same match as Otis. He was already a loser.
That's not necessarily on AJ's fault, though. It's like, there's a lot of times
Vince's fault for fucking putting AJ in a match with fucking Otis. I'm like,
well, I mean, if you just had AJ win, it's a completely different story, and then all of a sudden, like, everything's probably different. But I don't know, it's those what if moments where if they changed this here, how does this affect everything else? Because, like, it's funny, like, what you said about Otis is exactly what I thought about Mark Henry until he had that one moment with the retirement speech. And it was like, now, yeah, okay. To me, Otis is Mark Henry without that angle. And and I do think that's his peak, is Mark Henry. But the one thing he has to do if he's a heel, cut that caterpillar shit out.
Yeah.
Cut the ooh yeah out. Although he does remind me of Chris Farley, and I'm always going to think that. But there's a level of seriousness that he has that they never seem to show. And it's like, well, let me see what like Otis, a pissed off guy who just wants to hurt people and doesn't care. And like, let's see that style of him. And like, and I'm very interested in that because I don't hate the Alpha Academy stuff, but it doesn't make me think he's going to do anything better than Tag.
Yeah, but I mean that's his place, and that's exactly where he's going to go with the company, in my opinion. It's going to be no further. He's hit the peak of what Otis is capable of, in my mind.
I think he hit the Vince McMahon peak. I don't know if he's hit the Triple H peak.
He's hit the peak. I'm saying it now. I don't think Otis is any better than what you see from Otis currently. That is what you're going to get. I changed my mind, I guess. I've said it about other wrestlers before. I have changed my opinion on other wrestlers before. I just don't see it with them. I really don't. Chris Best, yeah, if I went back to 16-year-old me and told myself that Mark Henry would be world champion, 16-year-old me would laugh in my face. Yeah, but eventually everybody gets to be a world champion these days. I mean,
well, Mark
AEW's pushing to having a guy with his fucking hands in his pockets end up being the world champion over there, so that they can just watch. They can just watch as he stands at the front of the Titanic as the fucking boat's going straight down. Because the second they put the belt on Orange Cassidy,
yeah, and then here's where they do too much. Sometimes he'll do that Titanic thing, and then all of a sudden Tony Khan will be like, "Oh, you know, it'd be really funny if we just play Under the Sea as his theme song."
you just have Tony Khan on the boat, like dancing around, singing "My Heart Will Go On."
I just bought Disney, and we're gonna make the Mighty Ducks AEW. We're gonna be the All Elite Ducks.
The All Elite Ducks. AED, isn't that like a defibrillator company production or something like that?
I didn't even think of the initials until now. Well, that's what you'll need to watch that stuff.
I was just going to say I'd need a fucking defibrillator if I had to watch that shit.
But yeah, I mean, if Mark Henry didn't have that serious moment that turned him into and got that Hall of Pain, did you ever think he was going to be world champion?
No. But, I mean, I also remember Mark Henry coming in before he was officially a wrestler and just doing the strongman goofy stuff on Superstars on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon kind of thing. You know, I remember the segments of him bending metal pipes. I mean, it's fucking impressive, don't get me wrong, but I never thought this guy would come in and necessarily be a world champion in WWE.
Because I forgot how many times you have a steel pan in a wrestling match. All right, that's
there's always one of those steel pans under a wrestling ring, you know, just in case you need that for the kind of construction of the fucking ring, right? You know,
can't wait to play 2K24, and then I'm gonna look under the ring, and what do I pick out? A steel pan.
Yeah.
And then guess what else I'll pick out? A hand or his child.
Thing is, too, it's like, have you ever wondered, like, why people just accept that there's fucking kendo sticks under a ring? Like, yeah, because, you know, randomly wrestling companies are just like, you know, kendo sticks seem like a practical tool to have under a fucking ring, so let's get 20 of them. Like, in case the ring boards break, maybe we could sew something together with fucking kendo stick wood and keep that shit together. Yep. Logic.
This is also a thing. We were talking about a guy whose kid in the WWE world was a hand.
Yep.
And he became a legit world champion.
Yep.
And you don't think Otis can make a turn?
Nope. Because I'm sorry, Mark Henry, still I could take more seriously than Otis any day of the week, despite all the goof shit that Mark Henry ever done. Mark Henry's a legitimate world's strongest man. That's not just a tagline they gave him. He actually won strongman competitions. Otis, might have won the guy who eats the most food in under an hour competition down at the local pub and won some sort of free t-shirt and didn't have to pay for his meal. That will be Otis's accomplishment. Well, Mark Henry legitimately won fucking medals for the things that he did as a legit tough guy. Otis is a big guy who probably hides in the corner when he sees a spider.
He was a Greco-Roman wrestler, by the way. Okay?
Was he? I could take
Yeah.
it.
He was pretty good. He was, at one point, the highest prospect for the Olympic team. For the 2012
Stop
Summer
being
Olympics.
such a fucking goof, then. Just stop being such a fucking goof. Tired of goofs goofing up my fucking wrestling programs.
No, I mean, he is dyslexic, so I mean, they're.
So he
He
would
probably
read
forgets the
he would
fact that
read
he's
that
really
he would
good.
read that as foog then.
Gold? Nope, I'm God. Oh yeah.
What's backwards for fatigue?
I don't know. I haven't looked in a mirror lately.
No.
Yeah, because the reflection is backwards.
But yeah, with that said, I probably should actually get some sleep. I'm getting a little tired.
What do you mean?
It's late. Just because it's fairly after midnight for you, we didn't change our damn clocks here.
Hey, I'm still going to be up for 4 hours, so it's all fine.
That's because you don't
I
sleep.
average like 4 hours of sleep now. It's fine. I'm just accustomed to it now.
I don't get looking this young like Barry Monkey says by not getting my beauty sleep.
I am this young because I get no beauty sleep.
No, you're that young because you're still that young, child.
I was born in the late 80s.
Yeah. You fucking 90s kid, you.
You were a 90s kid. You were just an older 90s kid.
Yeah. Okay. Chris's comment, then I got to take off for sure. I love it. But I feel like if he showed up in the WWF in the mid-90s, WWF didn't hire Mike Shaw, Otis would have been Bash and Booger. Yeah. Yeah, I'm certain that he would have been a Bash and Booger or some sort of variation of the really bad.
No, he would have been Mantar. He 100% would have been Mantar or like Man Mountain Rock.
Those were some classy ones. Then you had Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Hey,
the original, remember the original MVP was that baseball player. They had the baseball player, and then they had the Goon, the hockey player.
Well, that's if Chris Jericho was 10 years before his day, he would have been the Goon.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, you like hockey?
Oh, your dad used to play professional hockey? Oh, yeah, I got this beautiful story for you. You could be a Goon. What do you think about that? Chris Jericho, I see no money in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how could you fail me by not getting this shit gimmick over? Because could you imagine WrestleMania? Here it is. We've got the WWF Championship on the line. It's the fucking Goon versus Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Well, especially when you look at some of those, you're like, oh, Rocky Maivia. That's going to get him over the moon. Nope. Just turn him bad.
That doesn't the blue fucking tassels.
Yeah. Oh, and Farouk, we're going to make you like the dumbest looking American Gladiator wannabe mixed with like a dude from the movie Troy that got rejected by the Cool Squad. The one that actually took over things. Like you're just like that, knight in training, like whatever helmet he had and stuff like that.
You got the dunce cap.
I felt Dean Douglas had that.
True.
Or no, it was Macho Man's brother.
Yeah, Lenny Poffo.
He kind of had that dunce cap.
The genius. No, he had that was
I know.
the graduation hat thing.
Gold jacket, green jacket.
Not really the same. But okay. But yeah, let's leave it on that note. On the green jacket, gold jacket, whatever we went there. Yeah, we'll drop it there. But I definitely got a jet for the night. I'm gonna end up falling asleep on stream.
That was
And
good.
I need some sleep for tomorrow, but I appreciate doing this. We could probably put some of those fucking socials or these things. I don't know. Where can you find me? Oh, there you can find me. Those things. There I am. Hello. Goodbye. There's yours. Where can people find you?
On those tomorrow for the watch along. Joshua Joseph is going to be a part of it now.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Watched his show earlier today. It was good. Yeah.
I did too, a little bit.
He's good people.
Good guy, yeah.
But with that said, I think it's time to bid adieu. Chris Best, thanks for joining us here tonight. Appreciate that. And anybody who's watching on the replay, like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful things. Check out the Chris Parrish tomorrow for WWE Survivor Series watch along, and check out OLE for WWE post show tomorrow night following Survivor Series War Games. Who's hosting? Ed's hosting. So you know it's going to be some fun and excitement there, and I'm sure a rant is due. Other than that,
I can't wait till Gunther beats the shit out of them. I'm just going to play the calendar again, and we can end
okay.
after that.
Yeah, okay. Calendar, good. Calendar works. Good night, everybody.
You got me.